For decades, they fought in the shadows, a secret war waged through proxies, spies, and cyber attacks. But on the night of April 13, 2024, everything changed. For the first time in history, Iran launched a direct military assault on Israel. This wasn't a proxy attack. This was hundreds of drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles fired from Iranian soil, aimed directly at the heart of the Jewish state. The world held its breath. How did we get here? How did a 45-year shadow war finally erupt into open conflict? To understand this historic night, we have to go back to 1979, the year of the Iranian Revolution. Before this, Iran and Israel were actually quiet allies, united by a shared distrust of powerful Arab neighbors. But when Ayatollah Khomeini came to power, everything shifted. The new Islamic Republic of Iran saw Israel, a key U.S. ally in the region, as the little Satan, and its destruction became a core part of their ideology. Israel, in turn, saw Iran's new regime as an existential threat. The stage was set for a long and bitter rivalry, but direct war. That was too costly, too risky for both sides. So, they developed a different strategy, the shadow war. Iran's primary tool was its network of proxies, the so-called axis of resistance. In Lebanon, they armed and funded Hezbollah, transforming it into a powerful military force on Israel's northern border. In Gaza, they supported groups like Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Syria. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps built a significant military presence to open a new front against Israel. And in Yemen, the Houthis supplied by Iran began targeting shipping in the Red Sea, adding another layer of pressure. For years, Israel's response was a strategy they called the war between the wars. It was a campaign of quiet, targeted strikes. Israeli jets would regularly hit Iranian weapon convoys and bases in Syria. Their intelligence services, particularly the Mossad, were suspected of being behind assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists and sabotage operations inside Iran's most secure facilities. Think of the Stuxnet computer worm that crippled Iran's nuclear centrifuges, a masterpiece of cyber warfare widely attributed to Israel and the United States. Each side would strike, but always with enough plausible deniability to avoid an all-out war. It was a deadly high-stakes chess game played across the entire Middle East. So what broke this decades-long pattern? The fuse was lit on April 1, 2024. An airstrike flattened the Iranian consulate building in Damascus, Syria. It was a bold and devastating attack. Among the dead were several high-ranking commanders of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, including General Mohammad Reza Zahedi, one of the most senior figures coordinating Iran's operations in Syria and Lebanon. For Iran, this was a direct attack on its sovereign territory, and embassy or consulate is legally considered part of the country it represents. The line had been crossed. While Israel never officially claimed responsibility, it was universally understood to be their work. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, vowed revenge. The question wasn't if Iran would retaliate, but how. Would they use their proxies, like Hezbollah, to do the dirty work? That was the old playbook. But the pressure was immense. To not respond directly would be a sign of weakness, undermining their authority across the region. They felt they had to do something unprecedented. They chose to break the unwritten rules of the shadow war. And so, on the night of April 13th, Operation True Promise began. Over 300 projectiles, a mix of slow-moving shake drones, faster cruise missiles, and high-speed ballistic missiles, were launched in waves toward Israel. The goal was to overwhelm Israel's famed air defense systems. The drones were launched first, designed to be detected early and force Israel's defenses to show their hand. Then came the cruise missiles, flying low and fast. Finally, the ballistic missiles, arcing high into the atmosphere before plunging down at incredible speeds, were the real knockout punch. But Israel was not alone. The United States, the United Kingdom, France, and even Jordan scrambled their fighter jets. U.S. Navy warships in the Mediterranean fired their own interceptors. It was a coordinated international effort to build a protective shield over Israel. The result was staggering. Israel's own multi-layered defense system, the Iron Dome for short-range rockets, David's Sling for medium-range threats, and the Arrow system for ballistic missiles performed brilliantly. In the end, Israel and its allies claimed a 99% interception rate. Nearly every single drone and cruise missile was shot down before it even reached Israeli airspace. A handful of ballistic missiles did get through, causing minor damage to the Nevatim airbase in southern Israel, but the overall impact was minimal. From a military perspective, Iran's attack was a failure, but from a symbolic one. Iran had shown it had the will and capability to strike Israel directly from its own soil. They had shattered the illusion that the conflict would forever be confined to the shadows. In the immediate aftermath, The world braced for Israel's response. Would they launch a massive counterstrike on Iran, potentially triggering a full-scale regional war that could draw in the United States? The pressure from Washington and other allies for de-escalation was intense. For days, the Israeli War Cabinet debated its options. They needed to respond, to restore deterrence, but without starting a war they didn't want. Finally, on April 19th, the response came. It was characteristically Israeli, precise, limited, and shrouded in ambiguity. Explosions were reported near a major airbase in Isfahan, Iran, a city that also happens to be home to key nuclear facilities. But the attack was surgical. It seemed designed to send a message rather than inflict massive damage. The message was clear: we can reach you. We can hit your most sensitive sites, right next to your nuclear program, and your defenses can't stop us. But we are choosing restraint. For now, Iran, for its part, downplayed the incident entirely. Their state media claimed the explosions were just their own air defenses, shooting down a few small drones, and that there was no damage. This gave them an off-ramp. By pretending nothing serious had happened, they didn't have to retaliate again. Both sides had made their point and stepped back from the brink. The direct, open conflict was over, almost as quickly as it began. So, where do we stand now? The shadow war is back on, but the rules have fundamentally changed. A new precedent has been set. Iran has shown it will attack Israel directly if it feels a red line has been crossed. Israel has shown its air defenses are formidable, and that it has the ability to penetrate deep into Iranian airspace at will. The threshold for escalation is now much lower, and the potential for miscalculation is much higher. The events of April 2024 were a stark warning. The decades-old rivalry between Iran and Israel is no longer just a Cold War fought through proxies. It has entered a new, more dangerous phase where direct state-on-state conflict is a very real possibility. The world watched as the Middle East stared into the abyss of a major war, and for now, has pulled back. But the underlying tensions, the nuclear ambitions, and the deep-seated animosity remain. The shadow war continues, but now, everyone knows just how quickly those shadows can disappear. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into global events. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time. Yet the scale and method of Iran's eventual response remained uncertain. Would it use proxies again? Would it target Israeli assets abroad? Or would it strike Israel directly? When the attack began on April 13th, it became clear Iran had chosen the most dramatic option. Approximately 170 drones were launched, followed by dozens of cruise missiles and more than 100 ballistic missiles. The staggered timing was deliberate: slow drones first to occupy defenses, faster weapons later to exploit gaps. Israel's air defense network, including systems like Arrow, David Sling, and Iron Dome, engaged targets in multiple layers. But the defense was multinational. The United States deployed naval assets and aircraft to intercept threats before they reached Israeli airspace. The United Kingdom and other partners provided support. Jordan reportedly intercepted projectiles crossing its territory to prevent debris from falling on populated areas. The result was one of the largest coordinated missile defense operations in history. By dawn on April 14th, the outcome was astonishing. The vast majority of incoming threats had been destroyed before impact. Only a small number penetrated defenses. Damage was limited. Casualties were minimal. Militarily, the attack demonstrated Iran's capability to launch a massive strike. Strategically, it demonstrated the effectiveness of integrated missile defense supported by allies. Psychologically, however, the barrier had been broken. Iran had attacked Israel directly and Israel had absorbed the blow. The aftermath unfolded in a delicate balance between retaliation and restraint. Inside Israel, pressure mounted for a strong response to restore deterrence. Many argued that failing to retaliate decisively would invite future attacks. Inside Iran, leadership portrayed the operation as a successful demonstration of power, proof that Iran could strike Israel without triggering immediate all-out war. The United States and other nations urged de-escalation, fearing that a cycle of retaliation could spiral into regional conflict involving Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and the Persian Gulf. Several days later, reports emerged of a limited Israeli strike near Isfahan targeting military infrastructure. Iran downplayed the incident, signaling a desire to avoid further escalation. Both sides appeared to step back from the brink, not because tensions had disappeared, but because the costs of continued escalation were unpredictable. The critical mistake on all sides had been the assumption that the shadow war could continue indefinitely. without crossing into direct confrontation. For decades, proxies and covert operations allowed each country to pressure the other while maintaining plausible deniability. But as capabilities grew, longer-range missiles, advanced drones, real-time intelligence, the margin for controlled escalation shrank. The Damascus strike killed senior Iranian officers on what Iran considered sovereign diplomatic ground. Failing to respond risked undermining Iran's credibility with allies and domestic audiences. Yet responding directly risked triggering exactly the war Tehran sought to avoid. Israel faced a similar dilemma. Preventing Iranian military entrenchment in Syria was considered essential for national security. But striking Iranian personnel increased the risk of direct retaliation. Each side acted according to its own logic of deterrence. Together, those actions produced confrontation. The legacy of April 2024 continues to shape Middle Eastern security calculations. It demonstrated that direct Iran-Israel conflict was no longer unthinkable. It showed how rapidly regional tensions could escalate into multinational military operations. It highlighted both the power and limitations of missile defense systems. Perhaps most importantly, it revealed how interconnected modern warfare has become. A strike in Damascus triggered launches from Iran, interceptions over multiple countries, and global diplomatic intervention all within hours. No formal treaty ended the crisis. No lasting settlement resolved the underlying hostility. The shadow war did not end. It evolved. Today, military planners across the world study that night as a case study in escalation management, how close the region came to wider war, and how quickly events moved beyond any single nation's control. Because the most unsettling truth is not that the attack happened, it is how easily it could happen again. Missiles can be launched in minutes. Drones can travel hundreds of kilometers silently through the night. Decisions made by a handful of leaders can place millions at risk before dawn. On April 13, 2024, the Middle East held its breath as the sky filled with machines of war, and waited to see whether retaliation would ignite something far larger. Morning came. The world was still intact, but the illusion of distance between shadow war and open conflict had vanished forever. And once that illusion disappears, history suggests it is very difficult to restore.